The stars burned cold and distant as the massive vessel materialized at the edge of Sol system. For decades, humanity had watched the skies, wondering if we were alone. On that fateful day in 2187, we got our answer, and it wasn't the one we'd hoped for. Admiral James Donovan stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, Earth's flagship and pride of the newly formed Space Force. A holographic display showed the alien vessel, nearly 3 kilometers long, its hull gleaming with an iridescent material unknown to human science. "Any response to our hails?" Donovan asked, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of tactical displays. Communications Officer Patel shook her head. "Nothing, sir." "Wait." Her eyes widened. "Incoming transmission." The holographic display flickered, revealing a humanoid figure with crystalline skin that seemed to capture and refract light. Its eyes were pitch black, devoid of anything recognizable as emotion. "People of Earth," it spoke, its voice unnaturally smooth and modulated. "I am Arkan Exervok of the Voidborn Empire. Your world has been designated for integration. Surrender your resources and accept vassalage, or face extinction." The bridge fell silent. Humanity's first contact, and it came with an ultimatum. Donovan stepped forward. "We are a peaceful species, but we will not surrender our home. Surely we can negotiate." "Negotiation is inefficient," the Archon interrupted. "You have 72 of your Earth hours to comply." The transmission ended abruptly. "Alert Earth Command," Donovan ordered. "And God help us all." The response from Earth was unified in a way humanity had rarely achieved before: defiance. World leaders gathered in an emergency United Nations session and delivered humanity's answer: we would not bow. The Voidborn didn't wait the full 72 hours. Their attack began with surgical precision. The lunar colony, humanity's first permanent outpost beyond Earth, vanished in a flash of light so intense it was visible from Earth's surface in broad daylight. 40,000 lives, extinguished in seconds. Mars was next. The terraforming domes shattered under concentrated energy beams, exposing the colonists to the unforgiving Martian atmosphere. The Saturn mining stations fell silent one by one. Within a week, every human outpost beyond Earth's orbit was gone. Captain Maya Chen watched the destruction unfold from Earth, her fists clenched in rage and helplessness. At 35, she was one of the youngest captains in the United Earth Defense Force, commanding the experimental warship UES Phoenix. Unlike the conventional warships built around brute force, the Phoenix was designed for speed and stealth, with experimental systems even most military brass didn't fully understand. "They're systematically isolating us," she told her XO, Commander David Rodriguez, as they reviewed the tactical data. "Cutting off our resources before the main assault." Rodriguez nodded grimly. "Classic siege tactics. They know what they're doing." "But why?" Chen wondered aloud. "Why target us specifically? We're not a threat to them. We barely have interplanetary travel, let alone anything that could challenge their technology." "Maybe that's exactly why," Rodriguez replied. "We're an easy target." The Phoenix, along with every other ship humanity could muster, was ordered to defensive positions around Earth. The Voidborn fleet, now numbering 12 capital ships and dozens of smaller vessels, had formed a blockade, cutting Earth off from its remaining orbital infrastructure. Admiral Donovan, now commanding Earth's combined defense force, called an emergency meeting of all ship captains. Chen was surprised to find herself invited to the inner circle briefing with only 5 other captains. "We've analyzed the Voidborn attack patterns," Donovan said, his voice grave. "Their technology is beyond us. Their hulls absorb or reflect our strongest weapons. Their energy shields can withstand nuclear detonations. So we can't hurt them," one of the captains said, despair evident in his voice. "Not conventionally," Donovan agreed. "But we've detected something interesting." He activated a holographic display showing one of the Voidborn ships during an attack. "There's a fluctuation in their shields when they fire their main weapons, a millisecond vulnerability." "How does that help us?" asked Captain Rice of the UES Thunderchild. We can't time our attacks that precisely across a fleet action. Donovan turned to Chen. Captain Chen, the Phoenix has that experimental quantum targeting system, doesn't it? Chen straightened. Yes, sir. The QTS can predict weapons discharge with nanosecond precision, but it's never been tested in actual combat. It has now, Donovan said grimly. I'm assigning your ship to a special mission. While the main fleet engages the Voidborn in Earth orbit, you'll take the Phoenix and target the lead ship, the Archon's vessel. Chen felt all eyes turn to her. The mission was practically suicide, but if it worked... Understood, Admiral, she said. When do we deploy? The Voidborn have demanded Earth's surrender by 800 tomorrow. We expect their attack to commence immediately after we refuse. Donovan's eyes met each of theirs in turn. This is humanity's last stand. Make it count. As Chen left the briefing room, Rodriguez fell in step beside her. The odds aren't great, he said quietly. Chen's mouth set in a determined line. They never are when it matters. Alert the crew. We're on mission prep as of now. Back aboard the Phoenix, Chen briefed her senior staff. Lieutenant Sarah Kim, their brilliant young science officer, raised her hand. Captain, I've been analyzing the sensor data from the lunar colony attack. There's something odd about the Voidborn energy signatures. Odd how? Chen asked. Kim pulled up a display showing wave patterns. Their weapons emit a quantum resonance we've never seen before. But look at this. She highlighted a section of the data. During the microsecond shield fluctuations, there's a harmonic pattern that matches theories about extra-dimensional energy. What are you saying, Lieutenant? I think their technology isn't just advanced. It's utilizing principles of physics we've barely begun to theorize about. And if I'm right, Kim took a deep breath. We might be able to disrupt it. Chen leaned forward. How? The Phoenix's quantum drive operates on similar theoretical principles. If we modify it to emit a counter-resonance frequency and detonate it near their flagship. Rodriguez looked alarmed. You're talking about sacrificing our primary drive system. If Lieutenant Kim is right, it could do more than just damage one ship. Chen said slowly. It could disrupt their entire technological advantage. The plan was desperate, the modifications untested. As the Phoenix's engineering team worked through the night, Earth prepared for what might be its final dawn as a free world. At 800, Earth transmitted its answer to the Voidborn. Humanity would not surrender. The Voidborn response was immediate. Their ships moved into attack formation, energy weapons charging. The human fleet, vastly outnumbered but determined, moved to intercept. The battle for Earth had begun. The Phoenix held back initially, its stealth systems engaged, watching as the first exchanges lit up Earth orbit with deadly beauty. Human ships, despite their inferior technology, fought with desperate courage. The UES Thunderchild managed to land a direct hit on a Voidborn cruiser, causing visible damage before 3 energy beams converged on it, turning the proud vessel into expanding debris. Their formation is opening, Rodriguez reported. The flagship is moving into position for a direct strike on the North American defense grid. Chen nodded. Now's our chance. Take us in, maximum stealth. Lieutenant Kim, is the modified drive ready? Kim's face was pale but determined. Yes, Captain. Once we initialize the sequence, we'll have 3 minutes before detonation. The drive can't be restarted after modification. It's a one-way trip. Understood, Chen replied, her voice steady despite the implications. All hands prepare for attack run. The Phoenix slipped through the chaotic battlefield, its advanced stealth technology rendering it nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. They approached the massive Voidborn flagship from below, where sensor coverage appeared lightest. 1,000 kilometers in closing, the tactical officer reported. No indication they've detected us. 500 kilometers, Rodriguez said moments later. Their shields are at full power. Wait for them to fire, Chen ordered. We need that fluctuation. The Voidborn flagship's weapon ports began to glow with building energy. "They're targeting Earth's orbital defense platform," Kim reported. "Firing sequence initiating." "Stand by," Chen ordered, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. The flagship unleashed a devastating energy beam at Earth's defenses. In that precise moment, Kim shouted, "Shield fluctuation detected." "Now," Chen ordered, "full thrust. Get us inside their shield perimeter." The Phoenix surged forward, slipping through the millisecond vulnerability in the Voidborn shields. They were inside, between the massive alien ship shields and its hull. "We're in position," Rodriguez confirmed. "They've detected us. Their internal defenses are activating." The Phoenix shuddered as smaller weapons impacted its hull. "Initiate the drive modification," Chen ordered. "Prepare evacuation protocols." Kim activated the sequence. The ship's quantum drive began to emit a high-pitched whine that reverberated through the hull. "Drive modification active. 3 minutes to critical resonance," she reported. Chen opened the ship-wide comm. "All hands, this is the captain. Proceed to escape pods immediately. Set course for Earth. The Phoenix will complete this mission with minimal crew." As the crew evacuated, Chen, Rodriguez, and Kim remained on the bridge, monitoring the deteriorating situation. 2 minutes to resonance, Kim reported. "The Voidborn ship is attempting to regenerate its shields internally." "They know what we're doing," Rodriguez said. Chen nodded, "but they don't know if they can stop it." She watched as the escape pods launched, streaking toward Earth. Some were targeted by Voidborn interceptors, but most slipped through the chaos of battle. 1 minute, Kim said. Her console sparked as power fluctuated. "Captain, I'm detecting a power buildup in their ventral section. I think they're trying to eject us using some kind of gravitational pulse." The ship groaned as unseen forces began to pull at it. 30 seconds. Chen looked at her remaining crew, her friends. "It's been an honor." The Phoenix's modified drive reached critical resonance just as the Voidborn ship attempted to expel them. The resulting explosion wasn't just physical, it was a rupture in the quantum fabric itself. A sphere of distortion expanded outward, engulfing first the flagship, then spreading to the nearby Voidborn vessels. From Earth, it appeared as though a new star had briefly ignited in orbit. When the light faded, the Voidborn ships hung motionless, their systems offline. Earth's remaining forces, though battered, seized the moment to press their attack. The Phoenix was gone, but its sacrifice had given humanity a fighting chance, and deep within the disabled Voidborn flagship, something impossible happened. Captain Maya Chen opened her eyes. Maya Chen didn't know how she was still alive. The explosion should have vaporized the Phoenix and everyone aboard. Instead, she found herself floating in a crystalline chamber, surrounded by the wreckage of what had once been the bridge of her ship. Rodriguez and Kim were nowhere to be seen. The chamber pulsed with a faint blue light that seemed to come from the translucent walls themselves. Chen realized with a start that she was inside the Voidborn flagship, somehow transported in the moment of the Phoenix's destruction. Quantum entanglement. She whispered to herself, remembering Kim's theories about the nature of Voidborn technology. The modified drive hadn't just exploded. It had temporarily merged spaces that should have remained separate. A door that hadn't been visible moments before slid open in the crystalline wall. Chen instinctively reached for her sidearm, but it was gone. She tensed, preparing for whatever would emerge. Instead of the fearsome Voidborn she expected, a slender humanoid figure stumbled through the doorway. Its crystalline skin was cracked in places, leaking the luminescent fluid. "You," it said, in a voice that seemed to resonate directly in Chen's mind. "The disruptor." Chen stood her ground. "I'm Captain Maya Chen of Earth. Your empire attacked my people without provocation." The creature's faceted eyes studied her. Not empire. Hive mind. And yes, attack. Necessary. It seemed to be struggling with the concepts or perhaps with communicating them. Why was it necessary? Chen demanded. "Your kind, developing too quickly. Soon reach threshold. Cannot allow. Threshold. What threshold? The creature's crystalline hand reached out, not threateningly but almost imploringly. Show you. Before Chen could react, the being touched her forehead. Her mind exploded with images, stars dying, civilizations rising and falling, and a terrible darkness spreading between galaxies. When the vision cleared, Chen was on her knees, gasping. What was that? History. Future. The void consumes all who reach the threshold. Chen struggled to process what she'd witnessed. You're saying you attacked us to prevent something worse? Yes. Many species before. All fall to void once reach threshold of dimensional technology. Become like us, or worse. A terrible understanding dawned on Chen. The Voidborn, you're not conquerors. You're quarantine enforcers. The creature's faceted features arranged themselves in what might have been a grim smile. We were, like you, once, long ago. Now serve greater purpose. Prevent spread of void. Chen's tactical mind raced with implications, but our quantum drive technology. First step to threshold. Why we came. But your counter-resonance. The creature gestured around them. Unexpected. Disrupted hive mind control. Many ships now. Independent. You're saying we accidentally freed you from some kind of control. Some, not all. Archon maintains connection to void. Will restore Hivemund soon. Chen stood, her mind made up. Then we need to stop the Archon before that happens. Are there others like you, others who want freedom? The being's crystalline features shifted. Many. Hidden. Awaiting opportunity. Then let's create one. Chen said. What's your name? The creature seemed confused by the question. Designation 117 Kappa. That's not a name. I'll call you Kappa. Now, Kappa, tell me how to find the Archon. Back on Earth, the initial jubilation at the Phoenix's successful attack had given way to grim determination. The Voidborn fleet was temporarily disabled, but Earth's forces had taken heavy losses. The remains of the UES Defiant had crashed into the Atlantic, taking Admiral Donovan with it. Command had fallen to Admiral Helena Reyes, who had survived the destruction of the Thunderchild by evacuating minutes before the vessel's reactor went critical. In the makeshift command center beneath Geneva, Reyes assessed their situation with the remaining ship captains. The Voidborn vessels are showing signs of reactivation, she informed them. We have perhaps 48 hours before they're fully operational again. We need to use this time wisely. Commander David Rodriguez, one of the few Phoenix survivors, stepped forward. Admiral, I believe Captain Chen may still be alive. A murmur ran through the assembled officers. Explain, Reyes demanded. Just before the Phoenix detonated, our sensors detected a quantum fluctuation consistent with matter transportation. If the modified drive created a temporary bridge between spaces. You're speculating, Commander, Reyes said sharply. Yes, ma'am. But if there's any chance, we should attempt to verify. The Phoenix's transponder was specially designed to function across quantum states. If we transmit on that frequency. Do it, Reyes ordered. But our primary focus remains Earth's defense. If the Voidborn regroup, they could still wipe us out. Lieutenant Sarah Kim, her arm in a sling from injuries sustained during her escape pod's rough landing, joined the planning session. Admiral, I've been analyzing the data from the Phoenix's attack. The quantum disruption affected all Voidborn ships simultaneously, suggesting their technology operates on a linked network. A weakness we can exploit. Reyes asked. Potentially, if we could generate a larger disruption field. We'd need dozens of quantum drives. Another officer objected. We don't have that kind of resource. No, Kim agreed. But we have something potentially better. She displayed a holographic image of Jupiter, the gas giant's magnetosphere, properly excited by multiple smaller quantum charges, could generate a system-wide disruption field. Project Starfall, Reyes murmured, giving immediate name to the desperate plan. How many drives would we need? 5 strategically placed in Jupiter's upper atmosphere. We have 3 prototype drives in development. If we cannibalize the remaining ships with quantum technology, we might have enough. Rise finished. Begin preparations immediately. As Earth mobilized for a counterattack, Chen and her unlikely ally Kappa navigated the labyrinthine interior of the Voidborn flagship. The vessel was unlike any human ship. It seemed almost organic, with corridors that shifted and changed configuration. The Archon resides in the command nexus, Kappa explained, leading Chen through a series of crystalline chambers. From there, he maintains connection to Void and controls HFY. And if we sever that connection, temporary freedom, time to decide on fate. They encountered other Voidborn like Kappa, dissidents who had maintained a fragile individuality despite the HFY's control. With the disruption caused by the Phoenix's sacrifice, their numbers had grown. A resistance had formed within the very heart of the Voidborn fleet. "How many of you want freedom?" Chen asked one of the resistance leaders, a Voidborn called Nexus who had once been a ship commander before being absorbed into the HFY. "Most," Nexus replied, his crystalline features shifting with emotion. "The Void consumes will and thought. Few choose its embrace willingly. Then why serve it? Alternative is extinction," Kappa interjected. "Void finds all who reach threshold. Better to serve than be consumed." Chen processed this grim calculus. On Earth, we have a saying, "Better to die on your feet than live on your knees." The Voidborn exchanged looks of confusion. "Metaphorical posture references unclear," Nexus said. Despite herself, Chen laughed. "It means we prefer freedom, even if it's dangerous." "Freedom, dangerous concept," Kappa agreed, "but appealing." Their planning was interrupted by a strange resonance that Chen felt rather than heard. Kappa and the other Voidborn stiffened. "HFY recovering," Nexus warned. Archon calling all to reconnect. Chen saw the struggle play out across their crystalline features, the pull to rejoin the collective consciousness battling their newfound individuality. "Resist," she urged them. "Show me how to reach the command nexus now, before it's too late." Kappa's faceted eyes focused with visible effort. "This way. Hurry." They moved deeper into the flagship, encountering increasing resistance as they went. Some Voidborn had already reconnected to the HFY and attacked the rebels on sight. Chen, despite lacking her standard weapons, proved surprisingly effective in combat. Her human unpredictability confused the hive-mind-controlled attackers, whose movements were precise but predictable. "The Nexus," Kappa announced finally, indicating a massive doorway that pulsed with dark energy. "Beyond lies Archon. Beyond lies Void." Chen approached the door, then hesitated. "What exactly am I facing in there?" Nexus and Kappa exchanged glances. "Archon is conduit," Nexus explained. "Physical form houses portion of Void itself. Not like us. Not like anything living." "Great," Chen muttered. "Any weaknesses?" "Connection to Void requires constant maintenance," Kappa said. "Interruption would sever link temporarily." "How do I interrupt it?" Kappa held out a crystalline shard that pulsed with the same resonance as the Phoenix's modified drive had emitted. "Remnant of your ship. Contains disruption pattern. Place at junction of Archon's connection." Chen took the shard. It felt warm in her hand, almost alive. "And where exactly is this junction?" "Center of its form. What you would call heart." Chen nodded grimly. "So I just need to stab the most powerful Voidborn directly in the heart with a piece of my exploded ship while it's connected to some kind of extra-dimensional horror. Anything else I should know?" "Yes," Nexus said, missing her sarcasm entirely. "If you fail, your mind will be absorbed into Void. Eternity of awareness without self. That's motivating," Chen replied. "Let's do this before I come to my senses." As they prepared to breach the command nexus, Chen's communication device suddenly activated. A quantum resonance pulse matching the Phoenix's unique frequency. Earth was trying to contact her. "This is Captain Chen," she responded. "I'm alive aboard the Voidborn flagship. And I'm not alone." Light minutes away, in the command center on Earth, Rodriguez's face broke into a smile of disbelief and joy when Chen's response came through. "She's alive," he told Admiral Reyes. "And she's found allies among the Voidborn." Reyes's tactical mind immediately grasped the strategic opportunity. "Can she disable the flagship from within?" "She's going to try," Rodriguez replied after receiving Chen's follow-up transmission. "But she says we need to proceed with Project Starfall regardless. The Voidborn are part of something bigger, something called the Void. Even if she succeeds, we need to be ready to defend the entire system." Reyes nodded decisively. "All ships with quantum-capable drives, prepare for immediate deployment to Jupiter. Operation Starfall commences in 12 hours. As Earth's remaining forces mobilized for a desperate counterattack, Chen stood before the pulsing doorway to the command nexus, the crystalline shard clutched in her hand. "Whatever happens," she told Kappa and Nexus, "thank you for showing me the truth." "Whatever happens," Kappa replied, attempting to use human idiom, "give them hell." Chen smiled grimly and stepped through the doorway to confront the Archon. The command nexus was unlike anything Chen had imagined. The chamber was a perfect sphere, its walls a shifting vortex of stars and darkness. In the center floated the Archon, or what had once been the Archon. Its crystalline form had been warped and extended, with tendrils of dark energy connecting it to the very fabric of the chamber. Human. It spoke, its voice reverberating not through air, but through Chen's mind itself. "You are an anomaly, a disruption in the pattern." Chen stepped forward, the crystalline shard hidden in her palm. "That's us humans in a nutshell. We don't fit neatly into patterns." The Archon's faceted eyes studied her with cold calculation. "Your species was to be preserved, contained, your technology dismantled before you reached the threshold. This is mercy. Some would call planetary invasion and mass destruction something else entirely." Chen countered, taking another step closer. "You cannot comprehend the alternative." The Archon's form shifted, the chamber darkening around them. "Allow me to show you." Before Chen could react, her mind was pulled into a vision far more intense than what Kappa had shown her. She saw Earth, not as it was, but as it might become. Human quantum technology had advanced, breaking barriers between dimensions. But the breakthrough had drawn attention from something vast and ancient, something that existed between realities. The Void. She watched in horror as it poured through the dimensional breach, consuming not just matter and energy, but consciousness itself. Earth became a husk, its people transformed into servants of the Void, just as the Voidborn had been. "This is the fate of all who reach the threshold." The Archon's voice echoed through the vision. "We prevent this fate. We preserve what can be preserved." With tremendous effort, Chen pulled her mind free of the vision. "By becoming exactly what you fear. By serving the very thing you claim to fight." "We serve to survive," the Archon replied. "The Void cannot be defeated, only appeased." Chen felt the quantum shard pulse in her hand, resonating with her anger and determination. Humanity doesn't appease tyrants. We fight them. She lunged forward, driving toward the center of the Archon's transformed body, where the dark energy tendrils converge. The Archon's defensive reaction was instantaneous, a pulse of force that threw Chen across the chamber, slamming her into the shifting wall. Pain lanced through her body, but she pushed herself to her feet. The Archon floated closer, its tendrils undulating menacingly. "Your resistance is meaningless," it stated. "Your species will submit or perish." Chen smiled through bloodied lips. "That's where you're wrong. Humanity doesn't know how to give up." As she spoke, she glanced at her quantum communicator, where a message from Earth had appeared. "Starfallinitet Varici for System-wide Disruption." Around Jupiter, Earth's remaining ships had positioned themselves strategically within the gas giant's upper atmosphere. Each vessel carried a modified quantum drive, calibrated to resonate with the planet's massive magnetosphere. Admiral Rice stood on the bridge of the UES Valiant, the last of Earth's major warships. "All ships report ready, Admiral," her tactical officer announced. Rice took a deep breath. "Initiate starfall sequence." The 5 quantum drives activated simultaneously, their energies interacting with Jupiter's natural electromagnetic field. The disruption began as a ripple, then expanded exponentially, racing outward through the solar system. Back in the command nexus, Chen saw her opportunity. As the quantum disruption wave approached, the Archon's connection to the void flickered momentarily. Its tendrils contracted, instinctively protecting the central junction. Chen threw herself forward again, the crystalline shard extended before her. This time, the Archon couldn't react quickly enough. The shard pierced the junction point just as the disruption wave from Jupiter reached them. The effect was catastrophic. The Archon's form contorted as its connection to the void was violently severed. The chamber around them began to collapse, reality itself seemingly uncertain about its configuration. Chen found herself falling through fragmenting space, the laws of physics breaking down around her. In that moment of dimensional chaos, she saw something impossible, a glimpse beyond the veil of normal space-time, where the void existed not as an entity, but as a fundamental force, like gravity or electromagnetism. And she understood. The void wasn't malevolent. It was a natural consequence of dimensional intersection, a cosmic immune response to breaches between realities. The Voidborn had misunderstood their own purpose. They weren't preventing destruction. They were merely managing it, perpetuating a cycle of subjugation that served neither themselves nor those they claimed to protect. When Chen regained consciousness, she was floating in space near the now-dormant Voidborn flagship. Her suit's emergency systems had activated, providing a temporary bubble of breathable atmosphere and broadcasting a distress signal. Hours later, a human shuttle retrieved her. To her surprise, Rodriguez was at the controls. "Took you long enough," she managed through cracked lips. Rodriguez's smile was equal parts relief and disbelief. "Had to finish saving humanity first. Hope you understand." Back on Earth, the aftermath of Project Starfall was still being assessed. The quantum disruption had disabled not just the Voidborn ships, but had fundamentally altered the nature of their technology. Without the Archon's connection to the void, the Hivemund had collapsed entirely. In the weeks that followed, as Chen recovered from her injuries, an unprecedented diplomatic initiative began. The liberated Voidborn, led by Kappa and Nexus, sought not war but alliance. They brought with them knowledge accumulated across thousands of years and hundreds of civilizations, knowledge that could help humanity navigate the dangerous path of technological advancement without triggering the void's attention. Admiral Rice, now leading Earth's combined military and diplomatic efforts, called a council that included both human and Voidborn representatives. Chen, though still walking with the aid of a cane, attended as humanity's primary liaison. "The threat isn't over," she explained to the assembled leaders. "The void exists, and the threshold is real. But we don't have to face it the way the Voidborn did, through surrender and subjugation." Kappa, standing beside her, added, "For millennia, we believed appeasement only option. Your species showed alternative." "What alternative?" one of the human delegates asked. Chen and Kappa exchanged glances. "Controlled advancement," Chen explained. "The void isn't drawn to technology itself, but to uncontrolled dimensional breaches. With the Voidborn's knowledge and our adaptability, we can develop safeguards, ways to advance without triggering a response." "And if these safeguards fail?" Admiral Rice asked. Chen's expression hardened with determination. "Then we fight, not as separate species, but together." The Voidborn tried submission and lost themselves in the process. Humanity tried defiance and nearly lost everything. But together, we might find a third path. The council chambers fell silent as the implications settled over both human and voidborn representatives. The path ahead would not be easy. Trust between species that had been mortal enemies would take time to build. The technological challenges of advancing safely would require unprecedented cooperation. But for the first time since the Voidborn had appeared in Earth's skies, the future held possibility rather than extinction. As the council session ended, Shen found herself standing at a viewport overlooking Earth. The planet seemed more precious than ever, its blue oceans and swirling clouds a testament to life's tenacity. Kappa joined her, its crystalline features reflecting the planet's light. "Your world," it observed. "Beautiful. Worth fighting for," Chen agreed. "Fighting for," Kappa repeated thoughtfully. "Not against. Important distinction." Chen smiled. "Exactly. That's the difference that's going to save us all." In the vastness of space beyond, the stars continued their ageless cycles. Somewhere among them, the void waited, not as an enemy to be defeated or a master to be served, but as a natural force to be understood and respected. Humanity had refused to lose, not through superior firepower or technology, but through its defining characteristics: adaptability, determination, and a capacity to turn enemies into allies. The war that had seemed unwinnable had been transformed into something else entirely, the beginning of a new chapter for both species. And as Earth and the former Voidborn took their first tentative steps toward a shared future, Maya Chen knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them as they had faced this one, together, unbowed, and unwilling to surrender. The universe was vast and full of dangers, but for the first time, humanity was truly ready to take its place among the stars, not as conquerors or victims, but as pioneers of a better way forward. The unstoppable war had ended not with destruction, but with hope. And in the end, that was humanity's greatest victory of all.